I'm saying again because I need attention. In a bid to remain relevant, I have DxyzD. There's actually DxyzD1D. Donate to Patreon and give shekels. You heard that, ladies and gents? Megon is in dire need. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and Patreon his ass all day long. He needs your attention, because if you don't, he'll explode. He'll just go boop, he'll burst. You know, and then there'll be calamari and tentacles everywhere, and they're not even the good kind of tentacles.
I am Cthulhu-kin, not squid, but the rest of it's accurate, so we'll settle for it. Link to Alex's Twitch in the description down below. Before we start, there's a new video on Moisky Live concerning Labour, because I don't want to be talking too much about the Foster's virus. Also, I'm streaming on a Megon Plays tonight at 8:30 PM GMT. Both linked down below with Alex's Twitch. Now, the subject of today's video comes from a school in Wisconsin. Bit of an odd one, but this one's going to kick off a bit of a legal storm, something directly referenced in the article we're going to talk about. After it was revealed that schools have permitted children of any age to have their gender transition recognised, which includes any name change, without the consent of the parent or even alerting the parents to the child's new identity. Somewhat understandably, this has caused quite the furore, with a number of parents who have now taken this down the legal route. In the article linked down below, it references 14 parents from 8 families who are spearheading, courtesy of the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty and the Alliance Defending Freedom, with their main argument being that the policy violates constitutionally protected parental rights, with a spokesperson for the Alliance Defending Freedom saying that this is a life-altering decision that educators have no business making. That quote coming from the mouth of senior counsel Roger Brooks, who cited an affidavit from Stephen B. Levine, a fellow of the American Psychiatric Association, saying that as Dr. Levine, I think actually, explains based on decades of experience and extensive scientific literature, putting children on a pathway to puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones can have devastating effects across a lifetime. That should serve as a wake-up call to parents and all Americans. When schools cast aside biological reality in favour of gender identity ideology, it is children who are hurt the most. For a child to live radically different identities at home and at school, and to conceal what he or she perceives to be his or her true identity from parents, is psychologically unhealthy in itself, and could readily lead to additional psychological problems. For those who don't know who Dr. Levine is, Levine, oh, I'm going to get that wrong. I'm just going to put the name on the screen there somewhere, yeah. He heads a community that crafted a pioneering set of standards of care for individuals suffering from gender dysphoria, and he is a senior editor for 3 editions of the Handbook of Clinical Sexuality for Mental Health Professionals. He also founded a gender identity clinic in 1974, which he continues to lead as co-director. So he speaks from a position of understanding and experience. I'm sure someone's going to cite appeal to authority fallacy, but please don't. According to the Arizona Daily Independent, the school district's controversial policy states, in April 2018, MMSD, which is the Madison Metropolitan School District, adopted guidance and policies to support transgender, non-binary, and gender-expansive students. This policy includes the following provisions. Children of any age can transition to a different gender identity at school by changing their name and pronouns without parental notice or consent. District employees are prohibited from notifying parents without the child's consent that their child has or wants to change gender identity at school, or that their child may be dealing with gender dysphoria. District employees are even instructed to deceive parents by using the child's legal name and pronouns with family, while using the different name and pronouns adopted by the child in the school setting. Let's just quickly talk about that for a moment, because those are 3 rather interesting provisions. Of course it is right that we recognise and notice things like gender dysphoria early on, but we should never actively encourage somebody to go down that path as a child. We should never do that. You're not fully developed, and you need to be fully developed before you make such a decision. The risks are now far too high, and it's time people started to recognise that. Changing your name? Go ahead. I'm pretty sure when I was a kid I told everyone my name was Balthazar and not Omegon. And as far as pronouns go, I'm pretty sure I've been consistent. Lightsaber sound effects, because it's the only good thing to come out of Star Wars. Didn't have to tell my parents though, because they thought I was pretending to be a dragon, an academically gifted one. I do think though, with these changes, the parent should always be notified when children need or want change, or when there is a noticeable change that needs to be medically diagnosed, which is something that seems to be omitted here until later on. District employees prohibited from notifying the parents without the kid's consent because a child can make a 100% informed decision. So consent on something as grand as this, as a child, makes 100% total legit sense. If a child can make decisions like this, can you imagine the other decisions others would argue they should also be able to make, that they should not, like this, be making? It is utterly insane, bonkers even, to think that that is good, clever, wise, and in the very same provision, a reference to a child dealing with gender dysphoria. A parent must always know when there is something medically wrong with their child. A medical condition must be treated by a health professional, who is always going to be present for a child, besides the professional. Oh, that's right, the parent. If a child doesn't tell the parent, not only does this seek to damage the home, but it seeks to damage the relationship with the child and the family, tearing a family apart when they should be working together. I know some families don't like this, being there for each other. There are always going to be those. But the majority are always there for you regardless. So this is a ridiculous idea. Are you trying to give your child, or someone else's child, since they're not your child, you're just enabling the more clandestine aspects, apparently, in favour of openness with those you are supposed to unconditionally love. District employees are even instructed to deceive parents. Deception. It's quite a beautiful trait, don't you think? If you are a 100% deluded sociopath, one must always keep the parents in the loop because they are the ones that are supposed to be, when all else fails, there. Although, if the children have a good relationship with the parent to begin with, one must never go that far and simply go to them from the offset, because they will explore everything with you. Granted, in many states, in many countries, people are still not quite there with this. Gender dysphoria is real and must be treated, not hidden from those we care about, because it is not down to a school to be the arbiter of what is better for a child. You are there solely to educate. And I'm sure some are there as counsellors. Some are there as medical professionals when the children have an issue. But I can fully understand why this parent-led motion is seeking to impose an injunction on the school district's policy, because policies like this are damaging. Sadly, I'm not a constitutional expert, so I cannot confirm whether or not this does violate constitutionally protected parental rights. But I'm almost certain there are many Americans in my audience, hello, who will know this for certain and be able to confirm it. With this case, with all that's going on around it, along with the experts that say this shouldn't be pushed, I'm very much interested to know what you think. Do you think that this is a school's secret plan to turn kids trans, which is what the title of the article from National File states? Or do you think the school is trying to overstep and get involved in family affairs? Or are they just potentially dangerously enabling everyone to explore, which there is nothing wrong with, but then also simultaneously push in a way that they should not push? With this, please do let me know in the comments down below. I'm very much interested to know what you think. Now, if I don't see you tonight on Omegon Plays for some Euro Truck, I hope you'll have a fantastic Monday, and thank you all for listening.